Hi, it's me, Kisma, and welcome to Studio Inspiration Art Journal. I have a very cool class to share with you today. It's a add-on window page, and the technique is going to allow you to expand a page. As you can see, whoops, I'm so bad at this kind of stuff, but here's an acetate window. Hello, can you see me? And it expands and opens up. Very fun. And of course this page isn't done yet. But this 3 pages are what I'm going to show you. So you got to think about your focal point, what you want to see through that window. Because I'm not supplying the focal point today. I got to tell you, I went to Disneyland last night, and if you have never been to Disneyland when it's the Nightmare Before Christmas theme, and the Haunted Mansion is that story, and all of the New Orleans area is all that story, you're really missing out on a treat. Going to Disneyland just for that is pretty spectacular, especially if you're into Jack Skellington and Sally, which I am. All right. So are you ready? I'm ready. So I'll see you on the drawing board. I have to look up to turn off this video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need are 4 pages from the book. All right, so we're going to Mod Podge together 3 of them, and we're going to keep 1 loose. So we have 3 glued together. Okay, we'll let that dry. And we have 1 by itself. We'll put these aside for now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our window and template. So I just have stencil paper here. You could use acetate, you could use plastic from a lettuce container, and I'm going to just cut about a 3-inch size strip here. I could use an X-Acto knife, but I'm just going to use my scissors. I'll trim it all up nice and perfect. Okay, and then let's see, my pages really are this big, so I'm just going to cut it to about here. Now this isn't the size of my window, it's just the size of the acetate page. So let's see, looks like it was about right here. So you saw all I did was sort of measure at the size of my text. If it's a little bit bigger, it is okay. All right, so let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's about, it's a little big and it's crooked. So let me get my handy dandy little paper cutter here and trim it down to size real quick. I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. Let's see, by about 1/2 inch. That blade's getting dull, so it's getting increasingly harder. Okay, so that's about what I wanted. See how I want it to be? The acetate window, I want it to be the size of my text box.
But the actual window itself is going to be smaller. The actual window itself, I'm going to make it, it's probably going to be hard for you to see this. Yeah, okay, so now I'm going to make a template of this real quick. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut the same size as my window, and then we will cut it down to size, to the actual size we want. Okay, so now they should be about the same, which they are. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And now I really want this to be, I'm going to cut off an inch. One way you can do this also is to find your picture and let's see, let's make it about 4 inches, a 2 by 4. Find your focal point and then you cut it down to your focal point. Okay, that'll be about right because we want it to be framed inside of that. All right, so this is my template. Here's my window. And the next step will be to trace it onto our pages. So see you in a minute. All right, so the pages are nice and dry. Okay, and we've got our template, we've got our window. So at this point, what I'm going to do is stack the 3 pages. Here's our 3 that we glued together and the single sheet. I'm going to stack the single sheet on front because whatever I draw on it, it's actually going to get glued down and it won't be seen, okay? So I'm just stacking them, and I'm taking this sheet and putting it right in the center, and I'm going to go ahead and trace around it. Okay, this is just my outline for placing my template. Okay, and then I'm going to take my actual template and decide where to put it. Now, part of it is also about based on your focal point. I have 2 different fun focal points here that I thought would be cool to use. So for example, if I use this focal point, I can make it to where that woman and her baby cat is in the window. Or if I use this one, it's a little bit different, but I can make it off-centered a little bit to where we see her framed in the window. I really like this. This is pretty funny, but I think I'm gonna, because I'm only doing 1 page, I think I'm gonna go ahead and use her, this focal point. So I think if I just place this in the middle, we're gonna be fine. So let's go ahead and just place it down in the middle. I'm going to trace around it, and then we're going to cut it out with an X-Acto blade, okay? Then we'll get everything glued together and our focal point put down. All right, so keeping your sheets together, let's cut through. Don't throw these away. You can always use them for something else. All right, let's put our X-Acto blade away. All right, So now what we're going to do is we've got our 3 and we've got our 1, okay? So we're going to go ahead and take our window and glue it down in place, yeah? Whenever these old pages start to crumble, just hit them with some Mod Podge and it'll help hold them together. All right, so there we have our window. And what we're going to do with it now is we are going to take our page, wherever it may be in the book, and it doesn't matter if anything's on this side, okay? What we're going to do is we're actually going to tape it in right there. So we're going to get, you can get rid of this too, it's kind of sticky. It's sticky. Okay. Gotta find the opening. There we go. Don't worry about it being big, larger. You don't want it too much smaller, but right now it's okay if it's a little bit larger. Okay, that's not so bad. I almost got it the same size. You only want to put it half on. Okay, right. And then we're going to come over here. We're going to go ahead and put it down. We want to make sure there's a little bit of space between the 2 pages because it does have to fold over. Okay, like that. Okay. Let's see if this will close. Not quite. So let's move it down just a little bit. If we have to put more tape, we put more tape, so don't worry about it. So let's get this to where it's gonna close in there all right. And then bend this over like that. And we'll reinforce it. And plus this will all get Mod Podged. Perfect. I'm going to put a strip right there, right down the middle. To secure it in. And we'll do it on the other side also. That looks pretty good actually. So let's just fold that over. And we'll fold that over if you can see. I'm sorry if I got the camera. Okay, so now we have it there, and we have it there, and we have our fold-in page. So we're going to put our focal point right there. Going to glue it down, and then we will proceed with doing our spread, and we're going to do these 2 pages, and we'll do this page. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so it's all dry now. Everything is dried up, and it folds in nicely, so you can see her through there and her little cat baby. So now what I'm going to do to these 2 pages is use ephemera, just bits and pieces of different textures. I won't use that. mostly mostly different textures. And so I will we'll put them, I'll glue them all around, even all the way onto this page, all the way around, of course not covered, and just framing so that it doesn't, they don't come over, so that we don't see them. We'll see a little bit on this side, but none of those. And then I will be back when it all dries, because you don't need to see me gluing everything down. I think you know how to take your Mod Podge and glue your bits and pieces down, you know, all the way around. And then, so I'll be back once that's done and it's all dry, and we'll do the next step to this. And then we still have this to do, but we're going to be doing texturing to that. So, okay, I will see you soon. So we've got a nice dry collage here, and you can see it's really nice and bright and vibrant. So what we're going to do now is in this whole area, we're going to take a white gesso and we're going to tone it all down and put it in to the backdrop, because that's what this this is our backdrop. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. And the nice thing about gesso, don't go over your focal point. You definitely don't want to mute that out, but every single thing that's around it you do. And I'm just kind of going on my focal point just a tiny bit because I didn't square it up. I actually made the mistake of cutting out part of the wall with just the curtain, and so it created a strange shape on that side. But I think by just coming straight down like this, it's going to be okay. And then what I'll do is I'll use my Stabilo to color in, to shade in the areas right there so you can't really see it. And I'm using my gesso full strength. And not watering it down at all. So all these beautiful, vibrant colors will show through, but just in a muted way, which is what we want them to, as a background. You never want your background to compete with your focal point, of course. On this side, it wouldn't matter so much, but since this is a unified page, we want it all to be the same type of background. And then we'll let this dry. And once we let it dry, we will come in and do the front page. We'll do this page, and we'll do the finishing touches also to this page. I was going to do texture to the top, but I think, well, I might change my mind and we might do something else. So I'll have to think on it and get myself ready for it. All right, we're going to let this dry, and then we'll come in with the Stabilo after it dries. I'm sorry, I don't mean to shake so much. All right, I'll see you in a few. Okay, so here we are. Our page is all dry. Now, I have decided to go ahead and go with the gelatos. Now, I only have 4 gelatos, and there are a lot of different colors. I have a basic pack, but I'm going to choose 2, and I think the 2 colors I'm going to go with, of course, the blue, and I think the pink. So I'm going to be traditional. And so since blue is my darker color, I'm going to start with that. And what we're going to do with the gelato, the darker gelato, is we're going to just run it around the focal point and the window. And just get it all nice and rubbed around. And also the edges of the page. These gelatos, if you've never worked with gelatos, they really are a cool medium. They smear nicely. And see, when you go along a page, edge to, they just really are very fun. Now, we're going to also go into wherever there's a seam, where collage pieces come together, and we're just going to rub into that too. We're going to rub into those seams, almost like we're creating a patchwork of the lines. And then what we'll do is we'll go back with our secondary color and we'll fill in between them. And that'll create a really nice effect. All right, so I'm not going to do it all. I'm just going to finish this page and show you. And then I'll turn off the camera, of course, and finish and come back with it. All right, so I'm going to carry that through over here, and then I'll come in with my Stabilo. And outline. Rub that. And the two mediums, the gelatos and the Stabilo, really work nicely together because of how much moisture is in the gelato. And then do a few of these. Go ahead and get a few of your seams. You don't have to do all the seams, but just a few, just to add some texture, some feeling, you know. It just makes it kind of look cool and not so clean, I guess is the word. And then go along the edge, of course. All right, so I'm going to turn off the camera and I will be back when this is all done. See you in a minute. Okay, so here's our page. I like the way it looks. It kind of has a distressed look. Now I could finish it off by putting doodles like I'm doing on the outside. So the outside, all I decided to do was go ahead and to do the collage work, and then I painted it with a light coating of gesso. And now I'm just doing doodles. I'm using a Sharpie and a Posca pen. I used my Stabilo. I went around my edges with my Stabilo. Okay, and I did a couple of, just a few random places of the seams with the Stabilo, and now I'm finishing off. And so one of the things about doodling is that it's thoughtless. it's not stylized. You just move from section to section, and you make your doodles according to what moves you at that time, and you trust the process. And the cool thing about it is it's just doodle art. We used to do it on our books and on our, for those of you who used to have peachies back in school, our peachies were covered with doodle art. We were really artists back then, more than we gave ourselves credit for being. And this is about it. Now, the last thing I would like to do on this is to take a little bit of, it is called R2O copper wax. It's just some wax. You may not have seen that. And you can use a paintbrush if you want, one of these, or you can use your fingers. But it's really, the consistency is really stiff. And all I'm going to do is run over some of my edges and give it a little bit of a sheen, okay? So I'm going to bring you closer so you can see that. I'm just going to, since this is the outside of my book, I'm just going to give it a little bit of, like it's the outside of a building and we're looking in at the mother and her child, and eventually we'll get into that room, right? But for now we're on the outside looking in. You don't have to do this. You could also do it with distressed ink. I like the sheen that this product gives because it has a little bit of a metallic mica look to it. And I think that looks very cool. For this, basically 3 fold out, window fold out, and all right. Next time we'll take care of this page, but until then, I hope you enjoy this project, and please do share it. Like the video on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel, come and join me as a member, and begin to have fun receiving focal points to download and private videos that only members get. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.